How many times have you heard a story about the GREYS, the extraterrestrials who are so often reported in the so-called abduction literature? The short, gray-skinned, emotionless, and seemingly genderless guys who have those dark black wraparound eyes. Those are the guys that humans who are abducted by UFOs encounter first. And those are the ones who tend to do medical procedures on the abductees. The GREYS have been reported on extensively by Professor David N. Jacobs, Professor John Mack, and also Bud Hopkins and others. You know what is so strange? The scholarly reports done by academics don't match up at all with the stories coming out of the New Age and channeling communities. After you see this report that you are watching now, you may have an idea of why they don't match. The real story of the GREYS, the real truth, is more chilling than the worst horror film that you could imagine. First, let me tell you the story that comes out from much of the channeling community. Now, the human channels are some of the best people on the planet. They are honest, they're sincere, and they really are channeling extraterrestrials. It's for real. So I am not complaining about the human channels. They are trying their best to help humanity. But the beings who they are channeling are some of the most deceptive lot that you will ever encounter. But let's get back to the GREYS. The fake story that comes out of the channeling community goes like this. The GREYS ruined their own environment. They went to live underground to escape the devastation, and then they started to genetically manipulate themselves and their brain chemistry so that they would stop feeling emotions and thus never do something so terrible again. Now, according to the story, they effectively genetically lobotomized themselves to avoid dangerous emotions. Now, friends, you are now going to see that none of that is true. None of it. It is all a lie. Remember, human channels give control of their mind and body to extraterrestrials who speak through them. Often the human channels don't even remember what was said during a channeling session. So the human channels are not responsible for what is said. But the fake story coming from the extraterrestrial entities is aimed at covering up history, erasing the historical record. They are like Holocaust deniers. It's propaganda aimed at covering up a crime of monstrous proportions. What really happened was a galactic Holocaust of unimaginable proportions. And know that inside each and every gray person that interacts with humans during the UFO abduction phenomenon is a normal person like you and I who is forced to live in a genetically lobotomized body so that they can serve as robotic slaves for the very same bad ETs that are dominant on the Earth environment right now. So understand that I am not saying that the GREYS don't do bad things when people are abducted into UFOs. Everything that has been reported by people, say, like David M. Jacobs in his book, Walking Among Us, all that stuff is real. It actually happens. But you have to understand that the people who are doing the abductions, the GREYS, they are not responsible for what they're doing. You have to know the real story and who's behind it all. Now, why should this matter to you? Because research done here at Farsight indicates that these same ETs, who we call the bad ETs, are dominant in the Earth environment, and they run this planet as a prison. Literally. And if you watch our Death Traps project, you will know that they don't let people get out. Death used to be a means of transportation. When you die, you can go somewhere else. But with fascist totalitarian states, they keep their populations captive. But a restive population is hard to control, and a very restive population can rebel, and such a population can even enlist the assistance of allies, who we at Farsight call the good ETs, to break down the prison and free everyone. So the bad ETs place high priority on controlling what people know. Censorship is key, but also disinformation is important. You all know about the censorship, and you can see it all over the place with the secrecy surrounding the disclosure movement with respect to UAPs or UFOs. Now, Haim Eshed, former head of the Israeli Space Directorate for 30 years, the Israeli version of NASA, has even acknowledged that the U.S. government has signed written agreements with the extraterrestrials that specifically state the requirement to keep the activities and even the existence of the extraterrestrials secret. The issue of censorship is well known, but disinformation is different. it is much harder to identify disinformation. For example, the extraterrestrials who speak through the channeling community invariably come across as bubbly, positive, and earnest entities who seem to want to assist humanity on its trek to join the galactic community that is waiting patiently with open arms to welcome humans into interstellar life. But the time of open contact never actually arrives. It is kicked down the road with each passing year, and rarely is the true story of the horrors of galactic warfare even hinted at with respect to its impact on Earth. You never hear about how Earth is maintained still to this day as a prison. It's always the same story of humanity being young and needing to mature, and that the extraterrestrials are a happy lot eager to encourage us. So when you hear the bull coming from them, it is hard to realize that it is just vicious propaganda, a program designed to keep humanity prisoners. Those bad ETs have had millions of years to learn how to fine-tune ways to contain a population in a prison setting. There is no way that human channelers could figure out what is happening to them, how they are being used. The bad ETs know every trick in the book regarding how to trick the channelers and their audiences. But understand that there are good ETs in the solar system, even if they are not dominant on Earth. In fact, the good ETs are militarily dominant in our solar system. But they have a near fanatical adherence to the principle of free will. The fact that governmental leaders signed agreements to allow the bad ETs to operate on Earth is important to them. But those agreements are getting old, and if the human population were to hear the truth, and if the human population were to rise up and demand that humanity align itself with the good ETs, then the good ETs could and would intervene. And they would intervene. But unless such a revolution from below actually happens, if the good ETs invaded Earth to kick out the bad ETs, the human population would see it as an alien invasion, and they would demand that human leaders protect them from the invaders. And the good ETs would end up fighting humanity as well as the bad ETs. Obviously, that would not work. So the only path forward is for humanity to become aware of the truth and to rise up and demand that their leadership switch sides from the bad ETs to the good ETs. But as long as the bad ETs can keep humanity in the dark regarding what they have been doing both on Earth and in this galaxy, then the risk of revolt is small. So the disclosure movement is really important. And this is where Farsight comes in. One of our major roles is to offer a radically different but true account of human history. Farsight tells you what you can hear from nowhere else. Moreover, we are not telling you what was told to us. We are telling you what we ourselves observed firsthand. And we collect our data under very defendable, blind conditions using some of the best trained remote viewers on the planet Earth. I am Courtney Brown, director of Farsight. At Farsight, we study the perceptual process known as remote viewing. Remote viewing is a mental process that is done using highly structured methodologies that are derived from those developed by the United States military and used for espionage purposes. But Farsight is civilian, and we use remote viewing for scientific experiments and for exploration. Now, this new project conducted at Farsight employs remote viewers who are among the most experienced and highly trained viewers existing today, and the remote viewers all describe much the same thing, all corroborating reports. And it is worth emphasizing that the remote viewing was done totally blind, and none of the remote viewers communicated with one another about the project during the data collection phase. Even their final presentations were recorded on video with no one else in the room. This is not science fiction, told through riveting remote viewing conducted under defendable, clean scientific conditions. This is as real as it gets. Now let's make one thing really clear. It is important if you want to truly understand everything that we do at Farsight. No human is a physical body only. We are all ISBs. At Farsight, we don't use words like spirit or soul because of the religious baggage that is associated with those words. We use the word ISB. An ISB is a person who is, simply for the purpose of being. We are all ISBs, and we have found that it is impossible to kill an ISB. But you can trap an ISB. You can enslave an ISB. You can trick an ISB. You can lie to an ISB. You can do all manner of bad stuff to an ISB, but you cannot kill an ISB. No one can grant you eternal life because no one can kill you in real terms. Your body is a thing, and you animate it with your ISB self. Also, nothing is animated in this universe without an ISB in it. So if you are a totalitarian regime interested in galactic conquest, you need a huge collection of ISBs to serve your needs. And those needs include mercenary forces, prostitutes to service those mercenary forces, traders, and everything imaginable under the sun. Human trafficking is a widespread activity among the bad ETs. Without a large and captive ISB population, there is nothing that they can do to maintain and expand their totalitarian societies. ISBs. Everyone in the galaxy and in all other galaxies are ISBs. Everyone. Everyone on Earth is an ISB, and everyone flying those UFOs are ISBs. And by the way, before we get to the real history of the Greys, do you want to see a real UFO that we have recorded with our own cameras here at Farsight? We are also showing people how to record these videos, and there is a growing community who follow our advice and are getting the same results. And they have begun posting their results on social media. The debunkers, who are like cockroaches, who come out of the woodwork at a moment's notice to dismiss any and all UFO evidence, cannot debunk you when you make your own videos of the spacecraft. You know that what you recorded is real. And that is how you defeat the debunker cockroaches. You make your own videos. And once you know how to do it, it is easy. So here is a recent example of a craft that we recorded during September 2023 over the Pensacola Naval Air Base. Nearly all UFOs use stealth technology to hide their presence, and they fly at crazy fast speeds so that special recording equipment and specialized editing approaches are needed to capture them. But if you do it right, it is easy to see them right over your head. Here is an example.
And the camera is pointed upwards at a 45-degree angle, and we're at 339 degrees north, which is it's actually northwest. Okay.
Now, if you want to see more of these ET UFO videos, we have lots more to show you on farsightprime.com, where the videos are analyzed in detail, including by an expert in aviation control. And printed instructions for how to do all this can be found on our regular website, farsight.org. But you can also see many such short clips on my Instagram page, Courtney Brown Farsight, all one word, no spaces. Instagram is great for short video clips that you can watch on your phone and conveniently show to others. We also put much of the camera specs used for the videos below the videos on Instagram. Again, Instagram and then Courtney Brown Farsight, all one word. But if you want to know the full story of the ET activities, watch our projects on farsightprime.com. We spend a lot of time, effort, and money to make this information available to you. Take advantage of the fact that you have access to this information. Now, with respect to the UFO videos, obviously these ETs don't want you to see them. They are doing everything they can do to prevent you from seeing them. They are not trying to protect you from being shocked like you are all children who would be psychologically pummeled back into the Stone Age if you were to know the truth. No. What they are doing is trying to hide their existence from you so that you don't ask questions that they don't want answered. They don't want you to hear the truth, or they would lose control over you. And if people are hiding from you, they are up to no good. You know that. The guilty are afraid. Now let's get to the Greys. Let's see what really happened to them. Why do you need to know about this? Because if we humans continue on our present course, the bulk of humanity could become just like the Greys. Robotic drones who are enslaved and forced to do the bidding of their masters for thousands and thousands of years. You need to know the truth. But when you watch these results, remember always that there are many good ETs who want to help you and who are capable of helping everyone. But their help is conditional upon you learning the truth. So this project is really important for you to watch. Let's not repeat history. Let's not become like the Greys. Watch and learn. As most of you know who follow our activities at Farsight, all remote viewing sessions have a target. Now, the target is the focus of the remote viewer's perceptions. Remember that the remote viewers do all their sessions totally blind, and they are alone in the studio when recording their sessions on video. No one is in the room with them. I don't see their video results until the sessions are edited later. So trust me when I tell you that I enjoy watching these video results as much as you do. Now, when this project was designed, we already had a ton of information about the extraterrestrials from our previous projects, and I wrote the target for this project, so I was not walking into this subject with no prior knowledge of various activities of many extraterrestrial species. If you watch our many projects on farsightprime.com, you will see how much we learned from our past projects. Also, we read the written accounts and analyses by academics such as Drs. David M. Jacobs from Temple University and John Mack from Harvard, as well as the accounts of others such as Bud Hopkins. So when I wrote the target for this study, it was based on both what we have learned from our own projects as well as what we have learned from those scholarly accounts and analyses, with a particular focus on the recent work by Dr. David M. Jacobs. So the target for this project is the beings known as the GREYS, as determined by the following focuses. Focus 1, an example of the GREYS as they are working on ships involved with the abduction phenomenon. Focus 2, an example of those known as the GREYS in Focus 1, but when they were totally independent as a species and before they became associated with any other extraterrestrials who may control them in the current time. Focus 3, the most important event that caused the subjects in Focus 2 to lose their independence and become like the subjects in Focus 1. So, there we have a good picture of three things. First, the GREYS now as they are reported in the abduction literature. Second, the GREYS before they were the GREYS that we see now. And third, the event that resulted in the transformation of the original people, who we now call the GREYS, into the GREYS that we know now. So we have before, now, and what happened to them in the middle. Grab hold of your seats, and let's see what happened. Starting with a session by Intisam and then Aziz Brown, Yeme Janae, Kamaya Dunson, and finally Shantae, here are our perceptions of the origins of the GREYS. This is the true story of what really happened to them. And after you watch all the sessions, I will return to help pull everything together.